Hi, and thanks for watching another instructional video for CSCI 1300. In this video, we will be simulating a randomized win percentage for both a player 1 and a player 2 in some kind of a game. The first thing that we are doing is we're using a random seed, so we're using SRAN times 0, so that we generate truly unique numbers every time that we compile. We're going to keep track of a player 1 and a player 2 score. And in this loop, what I'm doing is I'm running a match 5 times, and we're looking for the total score out of each match. So here, the player 1 score will be the summation of whatever number we generated between 1 and 25, 25 being the largest number that could be scored in this particular game in a particular round. The same thing applies to player 2 as well. So depending on what we get for player 1 and player 2, we're going to then output whether or not player 1 or player 2 wins by comparing the results that we stored into the scores for player 1 and player 2. So I'm going to go ahead and run the program here and show you what I'm talking about. And in this example, player 2 wins because player 2's score was larger than player 1's score after playing 5 games. If we were to recompile, we should get a different value. This time player 2 won again, but this time their score was 84. And you can see here that this might be the same. It seems like player 2 keeps scoring high, but we finally get player 1 wins here. So this is truly unique. Every time that we play the game, we are going to be getting different scores, summations for those, and we're going to be comparing them. So that's one way that we could generate a random kind of, or generate a random kind of a score environment for 2 players. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is generating a percentage for, say, a game. Say we want to calculate the win percentage of something that happens over and over and over again. And say we have a game where we're rolling dice, right? So in this example, we rolls a dice, and it could have a value anywhere between 1 and 6 for both players. So we've got a percentage for the number of wins. We have some scores, and we're going to keep track of the number of wins for each person. And what we're going to do here is take the scores, and we're going to divide them. I can actually divide by the number of games because we're going to be using that instead of 100. Even though it is the same, we're going to make sure that this could be changed in the future. So we're going to play a game 100 times or 100 rounds, and each time we're going to generate a score for both players using a dice. So we're rolling a dice 100 times, and we're checking to see how many times does this calculate a score that is larger for player 1 or calculates a score that's larger for player 2. And depending on the number of games we play, we're going to output a win percentage for both of them. So in this example, we're doing 100 games. So what we're going to do to calculate that win percentage is take the number of wins for a given player, make sure that it's stored as a double by multiplying by 1.0, and then dividing by the number of games that we're actually playing. So in this example, we should get win percentages for both players, which should be different. So in this example, player 1 won 45% of the time. Player 2 won 40%. Now, if we were to take all of this and multiply it by 100, for instance, if I was to put this in parentheses and then multiply it by 100, do the same thing here, what we are actually going to get is more of a actual value than a percentage. So let's run that again. You can see here that this is a lot easier to look at. So we're saying here that the win percentage for player 1 was 30%, and the win percentage for player 2 was 46%. And say we wanted to change this. Say we did 10 games here. Because we're multiplying by the number of games, we should get slightly different and more dramatic differences. Notice that here, 20% of the time, player 1 was winning, and 60% of the time, player 2 was winning. And that was just based on the fact that we generated a number for each person, checked to see if that score was greater than for that person or the other person, and kept track of a number of games. That's all for generating a win percentage in some kind of a game style environment. Thanks for watching and happy coding.